This is the beginning stages of a new sculpture. And you can kind of see how I work through my design process a little bit here, and we're going to be moving on to metal shortly. But this piece is about relief, and it's sort of a sense of a giant exhale and just a sense of that feeling when you can just let go of something for a minute. So that's sort of the basis of this whole sculpture, and that's kind of the idea that I'm going to keep in mind as I'm working through and with this sculpture. So I'm going to be cutting out these pieces of corten. I've got some patterns here that I've been working on. This is just a small portion of my patterns. And I'm just going to be using this Beverly shear to cut them out. So I cut everything by hand with this shear. And I do that because I need a great deal of accuracy when I'm cutting. So I have a specific way that I want this to look, and I want my cuts to be really smooth. So it's a bit more labor intensive, but the best way for me to get the results that I want. So I didn't show this part, but I actually hashed out a lot of my forms and kind of have a game plan for how I'm going to dimensionally work this piece and kind of how it's going to look in third dimension. So this is one of the pieces that I have gotten to that stage, and now I'm going to start filling in my other side pieces. I roll all my pieces with this slip roller. So I'm going to roll my work with that, and I have to continually change it and adjust it to get the curve that I want. And I'll just keep sending it through and working it until I can get it to match up to this form here. So I've got the third side tacked on all the pieces now, and you can kind of start to see the form come together a little bit. These pieces are all still separate right now, and I got to make all my fourth pieces and get those tacked on. These are all separate. Just kind of sitting there to see the form a bit. So I'll get those other pieces tacked on there, and maybe I'll show some of that, and then lots and lots of welding, lots of grinding, and then I'll be adding bronze on top and finish it off with some patina work, and we'll get to see this thing come together. Okay, so I've got the pieces all ground and fully fabricated, and next up I'm going to be adding the bronze sort of overlay onto the sides, which I have marked out here. I have to cut them out, grind them a bit, and prep them to be welded on. But in the meantime, I've been looking at this sculpture, and I decided that I'm going to be removing actually one of the pieces that I fabricated. So I feel like the form is just a little bit more elongated than what I wanted. And so I'm going to remove that piece, which is going to make it a little bit more round. I'm kind of using that jar of wax as a representation of where the base is probably going to go. And I think this will give me a little bit more leeway to put sort of a curve on it when I'm actually welding them together. So I don't really want to weld them so much in one plane. I'm going to try to put a twist on that or do something a little bit more so it's out of plane a bit. So having that piece out will also help with that. So I've kind of learned over the years that you should always reevaluate your work as you're making it, and not get really bogged down in your original design if you feel like things need a change. So well, unfortunately, my video cut out and I was unaware until I finished, so you didn't get to see the whole process of me fabricating the end portion of this, but I'll show you what it looks like in the round. So I got the patina on. It's quite labor intensive to get into all the cracks and everything and to get it really even. I used a little heat with a heat gun, and then I'm going to go in now and buff it out a little bit with some steel wool to get the flash rust, that's sort of the orangey tones, off of it, and that'll help even it out. And then I'll sand the bronze and then finally seal it and sign it, and it'll be done. Here's the finished piece. It's been sealed and waxed.